It's the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Show with Lady Love, Bad Bunny, and I go by Miss Lissa. We gon' wake that ass up. It's the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Show, and Cheese Show. We give you what you need, yo. You need, yo. Every 3 times a week, yo. It's the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Show, and Cheese Show.
Yeah, bacon, egg, and cheese, about to wake that ass up. Girl, who is you playing with? Wake that ass up. Told your big daddy when you wake your ass up. Yo, what is you waiting for? Wake that ass up.
After we do the show, then stop. Then what? Subscribe it like it's hot. After we do the show, then stop. Now what? Subscribe it like it's hot. Now subscribe it like it's hot. Now subscribe it like it's hot. BEC, so subscribe it like it's hot. So subscribe it like it's hot. So subscribe it like it's hot. BEC, so subscribe it like it's hot. So subscribe it like it's hot. Subscribe it like it's hot.
What up?
Hi. The eggs is a little late, okay? They runny. The egg was runny today.
7:24.
Baby.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon to everybody in the comments. Y'all already know the vibe. It's the BEC Show. It's the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Show. The Cheese Show.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. Who in here showing off buying badges during the damn Sure Sexy? She's wild. Sure Sexy is wild. Shout out to Sure Sexy. Buying badges.
Thank you, Sure
during
Sexy.
the theme song. Setting us off right.
Share the love. Share the love. Let me just get my notes together. Today we have a special guest. A media maven, a legend in the making. We have Pretty Lou pulling up to the counter to chop it up with Babs, Bunny, Lady Luck, and myself. It's gonna be a great show.
He's on time.
He's on time. He's on PR time. Okay, he's on that PR.
Yo,
welcome to the experience.
What's going on, ladies? How y'all doing?
What's up? I got Yo, DJ, shout out DJ Enuff. He used to be my A&R when I was on Def Jam. You know, shout out E, shout out the whole RPM, shout out Heavy Hitters and all of that. And today's Pretty Lou's daughter's birthday. She turned 16 today, right?
Let me tell y'all something. She's 16.
What?
Today's a sweet 16.
Come on.
Thank you. Let me tell you, this is how much I love y'all ladies, that today I promised her and my whole family.
No work.
There's no Pretty Lou business, no phone calls. Like, everybody's on hold till tomorrow. Like, nothing. But I made an exception for you ladies for today.
And you know what?
My nigga, you are a nigga. You are a nigga.
Let me.
And plus, she's in school right now, so I could do this,
Okay. Yeah. Lou, and let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, like Pretty Lou, he gets these clubs on tilt, he gets these stadiums on tilt, but him and his wife have so much love. So shout out to the family. I've spoken to the family so many different times, prayed together, just all type of things. So I have a warm spot in my heart for their entire family. And I mean, he's one of the most incredible guys I've ever met in my life. So thank you for pulling up today. Pretty Lou!
Pretty Lou!
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
I feel like
finally.
my journey is...
Wait. He was throwing shots. He threw shots.
I know that's why I stopped.
Wait. What you say?
That's why I stopped.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you said finally.
Yeah.
Oh, I said, no, I'm finally on the show.
I ran down on Pretty Lou because we've been saying your name in meetings for a long time. Lady Luck and Babs and myself, we always wanted to have you on the show. I ran down on him at an event, and I was like, yo, what's going on? Like, when you going to come on the show, like Lady Luck said, she going to hit you, so be prepared. But I definitely feel like my journey is coming full circle with having you on, Pretty Lou, because the first radio station I've ever been on was called Urban Latino Radio. No, I'm not Spanish. And they asked me, they said, are you Spanish? And I was like, no, I'm tu favorita morenita. I would have went on a Russian radio station if they would have had me. So Pretty Lou is one of the first media personalities that I met at Urban Latino Radio. He was the the flagship show on that station, and he always had an amazing personality and great energy. So we're super excited to have you coming on the show. And like I said, my journey, I feel like it's coming full circle. So welcome.
Oh, of course, thank you, man.
Hey.
And I, of course, I remember your little beautiful smile walking in, you know, on 10J Street. You know what I'm saying? And it was, you know, it was a great. We had great times there. We had great times there at Urban Latino Radio. Then it turned into PSC Radio, and it was.
But you are a fighter.
It was one of my. Thank you. I tried.
Trying leaves room for failure. You are a complete inspiration and all that. But before we get to you being Batman, you know, I wanted to know, like, a fighter, because we're all fighters, but you are the fighter. You know what I'm saying? How did you get started into this whole entertainment? I'm going to rock the party. I'm going to be everything, this personality. How did you get into that?
I mean, well, you know, for everybody who don't know, I've been in this industry for 26 years already. And it all started back in high school. You know, I was just that young kid growing up in Brooklyn, New York. And I just fell in love with hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I fell in love with hip hop. And I was one of those kids that, you know, I had that book bag with no books in it, just cassette tapes. You know what I'm saying? With the Walkman, going on the R train, going to high school, listening to all my, you know, my legends, like, you know, like Boogie Down Production, EPMD, Black Moon, you know, Helter Skelter. You know, I was listening to all that, the early Fat Joes, you know, that was me. I was always into that. And I was just so into the culture that I even one time, when I was 16, 17 years old, I started giving out flyers for clubs. I started giving out flyers for Sal Abatello. If y'all don't know who Sal Abatello, he's actually one of the biggest names in the game. He used to own the Fever, and now to this day he owns, you know, Fever Records. And he used to do a party at the Fever. This is how old I'm getting. Like this.
Now I've heard the stories. I heard stories about the Fever. So go ahead, I'm listening.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember one time KRS-One was performing, and I wanted to see him perform so badly. So I did anything. I started giving out flyers for free. So just so I could get in the building. So I sneaked out of my house at the age of 16. And yes, I did get my ass whipped the next day. But it was so worth it. And they stuck me in the Fever. I was backstage and I got to see KRS perform. But then I forgot his name, but there was somebody on the mic with a DJ. And that time they used to call him the MC. And he was hyping up the crowd. He was doing what he was doing. And I fell in love with what he was, you know, how he was telling us, you know, back in the day, it was just normal and simple. He was just telling people, throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care and all that stuff. And just by seeing the crowd reaction, and he had that crowd control, I was just like, yeah, I want to do that. Like, that's dope. I want to do that, you know? And the best part about it is that growing up also, I was a little young, skinny kid, and I had this very raspy voice, you know, and they used to like, you know, what really started me getting into it was, and then how the Pretty Lou name came about. I was a pretty boy in high school. I was a pretty boy. I was always down with, you know, I always had the polo, you know, I had everything, the starter jackets. I made sure, you know, the Timbs, you know, I was always looking right. And plus I used to box at that time. So they used to call me Pretty Boy Lou. And so I used to be on the phone with girls, you know, I was a girl guy, you know, on the phone with girls and all that back then. And I used to have my own phone line because my mother used to complain that I used to be on the phone too much. And so I was like, you know what, Mom, don't worry about it. I'll get my own phone line, pay for it. So I had my own phone line in my room. So I was talking to this girl, and I said goodnight to her because it was time for me to go to bed. You know, we had school the next day. And she called me back. And I was just like, why? What's up? We just hung up the phone. Like, why are you calling me back? Did you forget something? She goes, nah, I just forgot to tell you something. I was like, what's up? She goes, I forgot to tell you how much I love your voice and how much I like listening to your voice. And I was like, okay, why? Because it's such a turn on because it's so raspy and all that. And I was like, all right, thank you, you know, took the compliment. But then she says something that stuck with me for the rest of my life. She said, did you ever think about doing radio?
Mm.
And ever since then, my journey started. So I was putting what I saw at the Fever, what she told me, and the love of hip hop. I just put it all together, and then I started working on Pretty Lou. And look at me
That's
now.
what's up. You see how us ladies always push the kings. You see how that work out? She's seen greatness in you way ahead of time. You know what I'm saying?
I wish I could see her again. I don't know where she at. She's disappeared from the space of the earth, but if she's around, I want to thank her for starting my career.
She out there inspiring somebody else. That's what she doing. Shout out to her. Shout out to her.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the first person that let you rock the crowd? Like, how is that convincing somebody? Like, yo, let me get on the mic.
So of course, at that time, I was still a little young guy, 16, 17 years old, growing up in Park Slope, Brooklyn. So in Park Slope, the old Park Slope, just to let y'all know, because everybody knows the new Park Slope. No, I come from the old Park Slope. That's another conversation. But we used to do little house parties. You know, we did little house parties here and there. And we used to have a party once a month at this spot called St. Rocco's. And it was always a hood party. Like, you would see everybody from the neighborhood in that party. It didn't matter what neighborhood you're from. People from Bay Ridge, Sunset Park, Red Hook, you know what I'm saying? Bed-Stuy, Flatbush. Everybody used to go to that one party. So a great friend of mine, his name is DJ Harry Hash. He was the local DJ. And I used to go to all the parties, and I used to be like, yo, let me get the mic. Let me get the mic. Let me get the mic. Nah, little nigga, get out of here, man. What are you doing? You know, and I would bother him all the time. And my little brothers, you know, they would go up to him and be like, yo, let my brother rock the mic. Let my brother rock the mic. Nah, get out of here. You know, every month they would deny it. And then one month, finally, I went up to him. I said, yo, man, come on, man. Let me grab the mic. Let me do what I do. He was like, listen, little nigga, I'm going to give you this microphone. But if you sound whack, I'm going to beat your ass in front of everybody here. And I took the chance. He didn't beat my ass.
There you go. That's that Brooklyn shit. There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And, hey, ever since then, I started rocking on local parties. I was doing all the local stuff. I was actually the local MC guy who go around, do high school parties. I was doing Sweet 16s. I was doing everything. You know, summertime block parties. You know, we used to hook up the turntables and everything, the DJ equipment on the light poles and all that. And I was just started, you know, just working on that. You know, I was in high school. I was in every all the shows that they would do in high school, the talent shows and everything. And I was just practicing my craft. But I was really, at that time, I was really having fun. I was just having fun with it. I never thought it would become a career. I was just loving it because, you know, I was getting girls. And, you know, back in high school, that's what you wanted, you know. You get the girls, you get the attention and all that stuff. But I never thought it would turn into a career.
Do you still have, do you still have any of your old flyers? I used to throw house parties back in the day, and you know, I got like 2 old flyers, and I used to make them shits myself and then copy them, get mad copies and put it out. Like, I'm gonna pull a flyer up here one day. But do you have any old flyers?
I think I do. You know what? My mother, I think she's here because I saw her name. Shout out to my mom.
Shout out to your mom.
My mother has a box in her house, and in that box is old school pictures, stuff that I've done back in the days. You know, everything that I've done growing up. She has boxing pictures of me and all that. But for some apparent reason, my mother would not let me go up and get the box and let me look at it.
Cause you gonna take shit. My mother hates that too.
That's what she
yeah,
said.
Go take stuff that they don't look at. You know, they just want to make sure. Shout out Crazy Legs in the building. Okay, complete legend. Oh wow, Crazy
Shout out to my brother Crazy Legs. Oh, you're gonna see a couple people coming up in here.
All right, God is good. God is good. I mean, and what's the biggest venue that you've done? What was the biggest venue where, like, you of course everybody gets nervous. Do you get nervous like the rappers before they go on stage? They see a sea full of people.
I get nervous all the time. For somebody who's, I'm gonna keep it real. I mean, you know, not say nothing anything bad, but for somebody who say I don't get nervous, you're lying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because you know, right, Babs, even you as a you know, when you was coming up, I don't care what stage you hit. It could be only 10 people in front. You still have those butterflies.
I had them butterflies. Yo, it never felt. Every time I was about to hit the stage, I had to pee. I'm like, yo, it never felt. I'm like, yo, I couldn't have nothing to drink, but I'm so nervous that I'm like, yo, I gotta go to the bathroom, but it's no time to go to the bathroom, and so you don't calm down until you see the people start rocking with you. That's when you calm down. But that's
when everything goes away. Once I start, it just turns blank.
I find that one person. I lock in with that one person, and they vibing, and I'm vibing, and then it just spreads with everybody else. What's the biggest venue, pause, that you've done before?
When it comes to clubs or stadiums or both?
Everything. Shit.
I think the biggest so far that I have done, besides my hometown, besides, you know, because I've done Madison Square Garden, I did the Barclays Center like 5 times. I think my picture's on the wall already. That's how many times I've done it. But honestly, I think the biggest, but it wasn't really the biggest, but the best venue, like the energy to this day, I still feel it, is when I was in Philly. And I did, what was it? The USB. I forgot the name of the arena in Philly. Somebody in the chat room helped me out. First of all, it was sold out. I heard it was about 50,000, and I don't know how much that arena holds.
Was it the Wells Fargo Center?
Wells Fargo, thank you. The Wells Fargo. The energy in there. Oh, shout out to my brother Dean. Yes, Made in America was the biggest too. Made in America I did. But the Wells Fargo, the reason why I'm mentioning Wells Fargo in Philadelphia was, first of all, when I stepped on stage, because, you know, I was with Joe and Remy and everybody, I didn't think they'll know who I was. But when I stepped on stage, the crowd erupted. Like they knew, like you know when they know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I started talking my ish and people that was probably the only stadium that every lights shut off when I said it. You know, when I told shut the lights, everything shut down. I think even they shut down the hallway lights. Every light. And when I told everybody to put the lights up, you know, their phone lights, the whole stadium was so bright from everybody's phone. It was just incredible. But the best feeling was when I started going in and we started all the way up, you felt the stadium shake. Ooh. Like you could act, no lying, no cap, like my kids would say, no cap. You can ask Joe and Remy how, and there's a video. Matter of fact, I'll put it up on my stories later. You can see it even in the video how the stage was shaking.
Crazy.
And we thought the stage was gonna break.
No, that's fire.
That could be lit. A lot of times when it's lit like that, it's lit, but it could get scary too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just said, we thought the stage was gonna break. You like, oh, it's lit, but hold the fuck up. Like, yeah.
Nah, so yeah, I think that was the greatest feeling.
That's what's up.
A great feeling too was when you were, I just want to go back to where you were talking about when you were on your grind, because a lot of people don't understand, like you said, you've been in the game for 20 plus years. So at a time where there was no social media, where you had to actually put in the work, when you had to network and you had to do like certain things, I just wanted to know, how did you transition from being an MC to going into radio? Like, what was that groundwork like? Who did you have to talk to? How did you get to your first radio station? And what was your first radio station?
Well, you know, honestly, my first radio station was John Jay College Radio.
Okay.
You know, I went to John Jay for a couple of years, and I took it for broadcasting. It was actually, I don't know if people know, you know, I think they consider broadcasting sometimes as a gym credit. I think it was something like that. And you know, I didn't want to go to the gym. I was just like, yo, I'd rather do broadcasting. And I started doing John Jay Radio for a little bit. And but even me doing the clubs, I always wanted to get myself into broadcasting, because it was always something that, you know, ever since that girl said that to me, it was like I always felt like, all right, the clubs were great. You know, at that moment, I was always thinking, well, they're going to only know me locally. But when you get on radio, that's when everybody knows who you are. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the greatest thing, because I love to talk. That's one thing my wife, she hates it. She be telling me, you talk too much. Like, and then I gotta, you know, and then I gotta hit her with the rebuttal, like, well, my talking too much get us paid. You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
But you know, and it wasn't that hard. The transition wasn't hard, you know, and when I started doing college radio, and then I started, you know, of course, through college radio, you get to start meeting, you know, people from the industry and everything. And then I met a good friend of mine. His name is Little Sean. Little Sean used to be the program director at Shea 45 back in the days when Sirius was just Sirius. It wasn't Sirius XM. At that time, Sirius had their own identity, XM had their own. And I met him. We became real good friends. And I started going up with him at Shea 45, and I started getting on his own show.
Yo, still you're shy. I'm out here, man. I'm out here, baby.
You know, so that's how the broadcasting started. So it started from college radio. Then I went to Sirius XM. Then the whole Sirius XM merge thing happened. A lot of people left. And then I started doing online radio.
That's fire, man. That's fire.
You know, how do you feel about the game? Wait, real quick, Lissa, before you segue. How do you feel about the game changing now with technology, you know, the streaming and all of that, as far as, like you said, doing radio? Like, you know, it's a lot of people that, I guess, you know, bloggers, they're doing what the, you know, the radio personalities was doing before. How do you feel about that?
You can't be mad at it. You gotta be realistic. You gotta understand that in life during years, things go through changes, things go through improvements. It's never ever gonna stay the same way. And if you really open your mind up and think about how it's gonna be in the future, you always gotta know that something is gonna change a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So once you start seeing the .coms, the online radios, the broadcasting, then you start seeing the streamings and this and that. You have to adapt yourself and go with it. Because if you don't go with it, then you're going to be lost out of it. And then the one who's going to be lost will be you. So I'm not mad at it. I mean, I wish sometimes, you know, it could stay the way it was, you know, everybody tuned into the radio all the time and all that, you know, but things change. So, you know, you got to adapt with the change. So, you know, I always tell people, like, get yourself a podcast, do podcasts, do stuff like this right here. This is the new wave right here. Pandemic, let me tell you something. Pandemic opened up a lot of doors of us doing stuff like this. Yeah. Because this is even better. This is radio, but actually radio that you could actually now see the person.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? and you got to take advantage of it, and also take advantage of it now, because you never know. Because nowadays, once the system really gets to see what's going on, we're not going to be doing this for free.
Right.
You know what I'm
Speaking
saying?
of systems, Pretty Lou, and not doing this for free, Tasha K is being talked to by the system because Cardi B is tired of her free mouth saying certain things, and now Cardi B is suing Instagram. What is she? An Instagram blogger, a YouTube media personality, Tasha K. She is being sued by Cardi B for defamation of character. Some posts that she posted back in 2018 and 19. She claimed, and she forgot to say allegedly maybe, but she said that Cardi B was a prostitute that had contracted multiple STDs. So now Cardi B is suing Tasha K for defamation of character, and she's also said that these posts made her suicidal. She even accidentally cursed in the courtroom. They asked her how did she feel about this, and she said, "I felt only a demon could do that shit." And then she said, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I didn't mean to curse." How do you feel about, you know, a journalist? Yes, we are excited for podcasters, but everyone doesn't fact check. Some people are really focused on clickbait, and they don't care whether it's true or false, and then they end up in a situation kind of like Tasha K. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts? She's in it for the clout. She's in it for herself. One thing about me, I don't like, first of all, I don't like false stuff that people put out. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're in the workforce, that what we do. You honestly got to be, you have to do your homework. You have to do your homework. You have to know about these people. You know what I'm saying? You know, some of these journalists, one thing I've been watching, because I like to watch CNN sometimes. I like to watch, like, even Fox News, which I don't really like. You know what I'm saying? But
me neither. They have an agenda.
What people don't understand is that a lot of these journalists don't have heart. They don't have a heart. They forget that a lot of these people have families, especially celebrities. We're all human beings. You know what I'm saying? So just for you to do, listen, I'm gonna put it out for the record. I know Cardi B personally. I know Cardi from us working, you know what I'm saying, in the strip clubs, us doing, parties. I know her and let me tell you something. One thing about her is that she hasn't changed. What you see is her. You know what I'm saying? But all the other stuff, come on, man. Now you're reaching. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Tony Sunshine. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I was showing love to.
Puerto Rico.
That's my big brother. He's another reason of, giving Pretty Lou, who he is now. You know what I'm saying?
That's
love.
But
it's just some of these people, like, and you know what? I don't know who this woman is. I really don't know. But I gotta back up my girl. And I'm kind of happy she is suing her. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only right, because you got I don't really like to curse, but you gotta stop talking your shit. Stop putting stuff out there just to make yourself look big. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We have lives, we have families, we have children. You know what I'm saying? And for you to go out there and even put rumors, even dumb rumors, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I don't like publicity, especially coming from journalists, like people like that.
You know what? That's not a journalist. Pretty Lou, that is a blogger. We have to differentiate the difference. No shade to you, but you're not a journalist, and you do get a lot of views, Tasha K.
Blogger, whatever you want to call yourself. Just stop lying.
Let me say this real quick, right? Shout out to Cardi. Shout out to Cardi for changing. She about to change the game, okay? Because it's a lot of these journalists and bloggers that be lying. You know what I'm saying? All of them, or even journalists, all of them don't fact check. Remember back in the days, it was a magazine called, I think, The Inquirer or something like
that's
that.
yeah,
like, and they would lie too. Like, so at the end of the day, people believe lies. You could show them that it's a lie, and they still gonna run with the lie. And so you gotta be real careful. And so yeah, Tasha K, like, it's time. It's time for you to give Cardi the bag so she could donate it, because she don't need your money. But that's, if you trying to hit somebody, you gotta hit them in their pockets. That's where it's really gonna hurt. So shout out to Cardi B. Tasha K, you wildin'. You're going to talk some shit about the wrong person. They're going to have the goons roll up on you. So you got to chill, B.
No. This is what I love. This is what I love about what Cardi's doing. Because, you know, instead of getting you beat up nowadays, the thing to do is to play with you in court. You get what I'm saying? Because it's going to hurt more, because you can heal from that ass whooping, and you can potentially sue me if you think I had anything to do with it. Now I'm going to let the court system handle it. And also, it's karma, because, you know, there's people who've done this for their whole careers. We ain't got to say no names, but anybody who's involved with this type of lower frequency, you know, a commentary against people and always pushing dirt, it always catches up to them. You know what I mean? So let the Lord's work be done. But shout out to Cardi and Tasha K, not cool.
There you go.
That's so true.
We said
there was a point where I was being, huh?
Go ahead. No.
Go
I
ahead.
said we said
Oh no, there was a point that I was being coined the next Wendy Williams. Like, I literally was spilling people's tea. I was talking salacious gossip, and TMZ even found me on Instagram, and I started doing commentary for them. There was a point where after Sandra Bland got murdered, I was already feeling like a disruption in my spirit. But after Sandra Bland got murdered, I really started to understand that I was using my platform and my voice for the wrong reasons. And I literally took a 6-year break, because I was just like, I don't want to do this type of media anymore. So when we decided to do Bacon, Egg, and Cheese, one of our biggest tasks is to make sure that we have intentional stories. Even if we're talking about the hot topics, we find a way to spin it and make sure that we are creating conversations that are going to elevate the culture and not just deplete and bring our people down. So shout out to Bacon, Egg, and Cheese. And if you love our show and you want more, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. And yes, we are available on all podcasting platforms. Although we are not a podcast, we are a daytime talk show, baby. Making moves, big announcements to be set coming soon. Now, in the name of clearing things up and making sure that we don't only spread lies, there was a story going around that Nelly had lost a bag in a bowling alley with approximately $250,000, and they were saying that the person turned it in and only made $100. Nelly took to his Instagram to say that it's all cap, that is a false story. He said he don't know nothing about no bowling alley nor no bag. So we're going to make sure that we clear that story up. Even though it was a fun story to talk about, it was like, you know, how you not going to give people more than $1,000 if they found 250? But he said that's not true. So we're clearing that up.
He would have been my best friend.
I wouldn't. Would you turn in a bag if you, and hypothetically speaking, if it was true and you found $250,000 in a bowling alley, would you turn it in?
I have to.
You do?
I have to. And because karma is crazy, and I always feel like I'm being tested, you know, so something like that, I would feel really horrible.
How do you get karma for that, though?
Because it's
well,
not.
You didn't steal it.
But if I know who it belonged to, like if I'm walking down the street and it's 100,000 in a black bag, if I'm driving down the highway, there's a black bag on the side of the highway, I don't think it's safe. But if there's there's places where it's fair game. If I'm at Walmart in the parking lot and I see a bag, you know, and I'm looking around, there's nobody's name, it's nothing, it's fair game. But if I know,
but the bowling alley is fair game.
Yeah, but how does she know it's Nelly's bag?
She just turned it into the bowling alley, and then the bowling alley was like, well, before we found out the story was fake, it was that she was saying she turned it into the bowling alley. The bowling alley got it back to Nelly. Nelly said, "Here's $100."
No, I'm not. I don't know.
Yo, we're so wild people in the world, man. You just made up that story. That is hilarious.
It worked,
that
baby.
Is so wild.
They probably didn't think they was gonna go viral, though. They probably didn't think they was gonna go viral.
Well, something, you know what? Something worked because we're talking about it.
Right.
That is wow.
What about you, Pretty Lou? Are you that honest of a guy? If you were hosting, you at Barclays Center, your name is on the wall, your pictures is there. Now you're walking out, you see a bag, you open the bag, it has $250,000. Do you turn it in to security? Say, hey, I found this, or is that a blessing from God?
I'm from Brooklyn. I'm gonna hold on to it till somebody asks me.
You already know the vibe, baby. That bag coming home.
I'm gonna hold on to it until somebody says, "Yo, I lost." All right.
Oh, I found it.
And then I got it. And
I got it.
Say nothing, and that's just it. I'm out of here, B. That's my money. And I don't gonna feel like no karma because I found it. I didn't steal it. You left it.
Wow.
Stop being careless. You shouldn't have popped that many bottles walking around.
Yo, I love that.
Bread.
That's the Brooklyn in her.
Like, yes. Nope. Or mine.
I mean, it also depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you saw the person drop in, you know, that's different.
You know the person.
But even in a bowling alley, if I don't know what's going on, I see something, I look and hey.
Yeah, like, you know, I trip over the bag, I open it, 250,000, I'm looking around. I'm gonna watch to see if anybody's looking for it, you know? I
gotta leave. After I found the bag, I got a quick call, I gotta go.
Yeah, I want to be that lucky in my life, especially this year. I hope I find
the only luck we're gonna get about this is talking about it because it ain't happened yet.
Yo, now my friend always said he dreams of finding a black bag full of money. So it's so funny we talking about this because I have a friend who's like, one day it's gonna happen. I'm gonna find the money and I'm gonna call you, Buck.
I'm never on the highway when the money truck loses money. I'm never around. Never.
You know, I'll be doing some Fast and the Furious shit if I see that.
Yo, listen,
you know what I'm saying?
Lit. I'm gonna have to tell my son to get out the car. I'm like, get out. Open your book.
Speaking of telling your son to get out, okay? A woman put her baby up for adoption, told the baby get out after she found out that the sperm donor lied about his ethnicity. So a Japanese woman who is married, she and her husband decided to find a sperm donor to have their second child after finding out that her husband had a condition that could transfer over to the child. She gives birth to the baby and then finds out that the man that she thought was Japanese is actually Chinese. And she said, that's not what I wanted. So she's putting the baby up for adoption and she's suing him for lying. How do we feel? What did the baby do? What did the baby do?
And she found out that he's married too. It's just a whole deception. That's their business, man. You know.
But is it wrong to give up a baby because you found out that the father is Dominican and not Puerto Rican?
No, that's what happens when you're going and you're buying, you're purchasing something. This is not a dude she met and he lied and said, yo, I'm Japanese, but he was really Chinese.
No, he did.
Oh, no, that's the sperm. She went and bought it. That's the.
But he lied to the sperm people.
She got to sue them because they didn't do the research. They didn't do the background check. And that's the most dangerous thing when you're buying sperm because anybody could write anything. And then you go in there and be believing this shit and like, no. So it's the facility fault that let this guy come in and fill out this paperwork and they didn't do no DNA, nothing on him. So nah, shorty, I would have sent that baby back too.
You gonna get that baby back.
Yo.
That baby going back, B. I ain't pay for this.
Oh, wow.
And I'm
what about you, Pretty Lou?
I got no comment. Well, first of all, I wouldn't be doing that shit anyway. I wouldn't be doing that anyway.
Bab said she giving it back.
I'm giving it back, and I want some bread.
You might want some bud after this next story. So cannabis compounds can stop the virus, allegedly. This is what the studies are showing, that cannabis can potentially stop the COVID-19 virus from entering human cells by blinding a spike protein. Who knew? Weed might just save everything might just.
All the potheads I know, but they said
Baby.
they said that it's not true. I read that this
Who
morning,
said it's
man.
not true?
They said
Nelly?
I saw it this morning. No, I saw it this morning in the newspaper, and I know a lot of potheads who had got COVID. I know some heavy potheads that got COVID.
That's a lie.
Yeah, that's a lie.
That's a lie. That's bullshit. I caught COVID while I was smoking. Okay.
Well,
Bullshit.
speaking of COVID, a Canadian father is being temporarily blocked from seeing his child because he is unvaccinated, even though the child is vaccinated. Do you feel like this is being unfair, or do you feel like this is just precautions that need to be taken to make sure that children are safe?
Where
That's
is this?
stupid.
It's in Canada.
So the father cannot see the child because
he's not vaccinated temporarily, even though the child is vaccinated.
They don't see. No, let me answer that. To me, they don't have no rights. Nobody has any rights when it comes to, especially when it comes to your family. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I just want to put out my opinion about this whole vaccination and everything.
Tread lightly, man.
So I'm vaccinated.
All right.
I'm vaccinated, but I'm vaccinated by my choice. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that the government or anybody should tell people what they need to do. You know what I'm saying? We do live in a world that's called America. Freedom of speech, freedom of everything, freedom. This is the world of freedom. And, you know, yes, do I agree people should get vaccinated? Of course. You know, especially because of what I went through, and which I'm still going through. You know, I got vaccinated because
you want to share a
I
little
have
bit with
doctors
any
that
of
really
the
care.
people that might make.
Oh, so
do you want to share a little bit of what you are talking about for anyone that's new to your story?
So to everybody out there, you know, who don't know, who's the first time hearing me, I 7 years ago was diagnosed with LGL leukemia, which is cancer in the blood cells. And I've been fighting leukemia for 7 years, and finally in 2019, I am now in remission. You know, and which I'm so happy about. You know.
So you've been kicking leukemia's ass for the last 7 years.
For the last 7 years, yes.
Yeah, okay.
It put me on the ropes on 2019. You know, I know we're gonna talk about that in a few. You know, it put me on the ropes. It put me, you know, it almost killed me. But yeah, I finally, you know, I put it down for the count and all that stuff. So, but when it comes, you know, and like I said, you know, I got doctors that I trust and everything. And, you know, of course, my life depends on anything. You know, my how can I say, my immunity and all that is not as great as everybody else. So that's why I went and I got myself vaccinated. But like I said, I got myself vaccinated because it was my choice. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, do I believe everybody should do it? Yes, I do. You know what I'm saying? Just because I want people to live and I care for everybody else. But I do not agree when somebody's telling me that I have to do it.
Right.
I do not agree on that. So then when it comes to them saying I can't see my child because I'm not vaccinated, crazy. That's totally wrong. You're not, yeah. I don't care who you are. You're going to have to really like kill me to the ground for you to stop me from seeing my children. Point blank. That is our decision. You know, it is Canada. Canada got their own laws. But in fact, in real life, ain't nobody, I don't care who you are, gonna tell me when to see or when not to see my children just because I didn't get a needle. No, it doesn't work that way. I do not agree on that. I think that's very selfish. You know what I'm saying? I think people are just pushing themselves to a limit that you know, people should fight for, especially something like that. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from seeing my children. or any of my family members. That's our choice.
And she's lucky that she got a baby daddy who want to see the child. Because my daddy didn't need no vaccine and he still ain't pull up. You know what I'm saying? So she lucky. There's a lot of children out here that daddy don't need no excuse. He just not coming by, period. There was no COVID when I was a kid, and my daddy still didn't come over.
You're annoying.
She's being real.
That's real though.
She's being real. But now I think that's just nonsense. I really think that they just, you know, they're pushing it. They're pushing it to a limit now. You know what I'm saying? Like, for perfect example, I'm in these nightclubs every night. I'm working. I'm out here with people. That's my job. I gotta make sure that I gotta provide for my family, and I gotta take care of my home. No, ain't nobody gonna pay for my mortgage. Ain't nobody gonna pay for my car notes. Ain't nobody gonna pay for my children's education. And I have to go out there and make sure I take care of that. But because I know I'm out there, I'm very careful with my family members. Like my mother, for example. I try not to see my mother too much because I know I'm out there. You know what I'm saying? My mother still lives in Brooklyn. My mother lives on the first floor. I still knock on her window. She'll open the window and I talk to her from there. It's sad. Don't get me wrong. I want to hold my mother and everything, but do I want to take a risk that I could give that to my mother in case I'm carrying, you know what I'm saying, the COVID-19? No. You know, I'm being safe with myself. But ain't nobody gonna tell me that because I'm vaccinated, but in case I wasn't, I can't go and see my mother.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, over in London now, I think one of those countries over there in Europe, if you had the COVID already, they consider it equivalent to the shot. So they are paying people $150, the people who have COVID, to come show up. And they're having COVID parties where people are inviting people with COVID, and they paying you getting $150 a pop for me to give it to you because now they classify you as having the vaccine.
Like herd vaccination. Like my mom said back in the day when one kid got chicken pox, they would send them in the room, go give everybody chicken pox. The hell? Yeah. Get this done. And then
but like I said, so now
go give it to everybody.
But now, like I said, it comes to the same thing I said before. That's on them. You can't stop nobody for what they want to do. Hey, you want to go have yourself a COVID party? Go right ahead. That's your problem. You know what I'm saying? Hey, go have a COVID party.
It's scary times that we're living in, you know. And I was talking about this last week, so I just tell everybody, don't ignore the signs that's going on. I definitely want to encourage everybody to get closer to your maker. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm not saying none of that, but I'm just saying to get right when you can get right. Get right with your family members. Get right with whoever you could get right with, because it is a scary time that we're living in, man.
Yes, and shout out to all the parents that got children in school, because that's a whole another thing that we dealing with, especially the smaller kids who don't really, you know, they watch other kids take their mask off, and then they take, my son, I picked my son up, he had a different mask on. That's not even the mask I sent him to school with. He said, oh, mommy, such and such gave me, I said, yo, don't you ever, yo.
They traded masks like it's Pokemon cards.
Yo.
Said, no,
yo, you want to switch masks? I'll give it back to you tomorrow.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, and my son, he had a bunch of basketballs on his mask. Maybe Shorty was like, oh, your mask lit. Let me hold that mask. But nah. I told my son, I said, is you bugging? I said, you trying to off me? He said, no, mommy. I said, you trying to off grandma? He said, no. Yeah.
You got to put it on their head.
No, that's hilarious.
Before we do go into the chit chat topic or what have you, I did want us to talk a little bit to Pretty Lou about his journey in beating cancer. Like, do you remember that moment, or how did you find out that you had leukemia?
So 2014 was probably the most craziest year for me, because early 2000, it was probably like around March, April, I started noticing that I was sleeping a lot. But of course, because I'm in the nightlife, I'm usually, you don't think about that. I'm just tired because I'm working, I'm doing two, three clubs a night. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing all these events and everything. Doing radio late night and all that stuff. So, it doesn't click in your mind because you're so working so much. You're just thinking, I'm just tired from work. But I started sleeping a lot. And, but then after that, I started noticing I started getting marks in my body. Weird marks. It wasn't even black and blue. It was like marks, like it looked like hickeys. When when a woman gives you a hickey, it looks like nice and bright red and all that stuff. It started looking like that, but I started getting them. First, I started getting them little by little, like on the chest area, but I didn't think nothing of it. I was just probably like, maybe, something was, I scratched myself too hard, but I started getting them all over the place. So here's a funny, I'm gonna make you ladies laugh, right? I'm gonna make everybody laugh in here, right? I started getting the marks so much that at that time, my wife was just my girlfriend. And she was just like, the fuck is that?
Right.
And I'm like, what? She was like, right here. Like, what's that? I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just getting these little marks. She goes, those marks don't look like marks. Those look like hickeys. And I'm just like, yo, I'm not, what are you talking about? Like, they're there. Like, and then I remember one time I had one in my stomach. I'm like, yeah, so you really think somebody's going to come and just suck on this big ass gut, right? Like, somebody's going to just suck on my, my stomach, right? Oh no, so it was a 2 months of an argument. Like, it was so bad that I remember one time I even was sleeping in the couch for a couple of days. It's because she really thought those were hickeys. And I'm like, yo, I used to tell my friends, like, yo, what the fuck? Like, she's on me. Like, what the, like, she really thinks somebody's giving me these hickeys, and they're not. There's just marks coming out. But, and then what made it even worse was one time she left for a weekend to go see her friends in Orlando. And of course, I stood out here by myself working. And what a coincidence that the day that I was supposed to pick her up at the airport, I woke up, took a shower, and I noticed that I had a big one right here.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, no. Like, what am I going to do? What can I say? And of course, I got to the airport. I showed it because I wasn't trying not to lie. And forget it. It was fire. Like, I think we didn't even talk for a week. But but then besides the marks, I started getting sick. I started losing weight. And during those times I used to work out. I was nice and built. But then, I started losing muscle fatigue. I started catching like a flu. And that's what I thought it was. I thought it was a flu, but it wasn't going away. Finally, my mother, for like a week, I had like I overbite sometimes. Sometimes when I'm enjoying my food so much, I bite my inside of my cheek. So I bit it one time, and of course you get a little cut. But that little cut did not heal. It actually got worse.
Wow.
And I went to the dentist. I went to everything just to check it out. The dentist was trying to find out what's going on, whatever. So thank God for my mother. My mother was like, listen, I'm gonna make an appointment for you tomorrow. Let's go get yourself a physical. And I was like, fine, Ma, let's go. I went, got a physical. The day of the physical, went home. I wasn't feeling great. I popped some Tylenols, I went to bed. Sure enough, that the next day around 6:30, 7 in the morning, I get a phone call from the doctor who gave me the physical. And he was like, listen, I need you to come to my office right now. So without no hesitation, I got up, I got dressed. I didn't even drive. We took a cab. That's how much, like, the nerve that so nervous. So we got on the cab, we went to the doctors, and when I sat there, he was just like, well, listen, I need you to go to the hospital right now because your blood counts are -0.
Wow.
Every blood count. I was probably minutes, hours, I don't know, from a cardiac arrest.
Wow.
So I went to the hospital. The hospital already knew I was coming because the doctor called. They checked me in. They threw me in ICU. They gave me emergency transfusion. I had to get transfusion real quick and everything. It was just all over the thing. So for the next 3-4 weeks, I was in the Brooklyn hospital. Shout out to Methodist Hospital in Brooklyn, and we had a doctor there. And first, they thought it was a bone marrow disease, because they got to find out that my bone marrow was not working. So people out there, if you don't know what a bone marrow is, because a lot of people don't, your bone marrow is actually one of the most important things in your body. That is what your bone marrow is actually what develops your blood cells. It develops your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your platelets. Platelets, in case you don't know what platelets are your defense cells. If you ever get cut and you get scabs because it's healing, that's platelets. That's your platelets. If you ever get cut in your lip or anything, even when you're shaving, your platelets starts forming your new skin. So I didn't have that at all. That's because my bone marrow wasn't working. So that's when it became a real big rush, because they thought I had I forgot the name of the disease, a plasma. I forgot the name of it, but I needed a donor, a bone marrow donor, quick. If not, I think they were giving me 2 months to live if I didn't find a donor.
Wow.
So
That's
I was
crazy.
in the hospital. My family freaked out and everything. But for some reason, thank God I had a good doctor. She felt like she couldn't control. Like they diagnosed me with what they said, but it wasn't it. She felt like that wasn't it.
Is it severe aplastic anemia? Was that it, Pretty Lou?
Yes, there you go. Plastic. Yes, that's it. That's definitely it. So my doctor, which I'm so happy she did, felt like she needed help, because they were doing biopsies. Mind you, I was getting biopsies like almost every other day, and that is the most painful biopsies they were doing of all time. Like I don't even recommend it to my enemies.
Wow.
Like, that's how bad it is. And so she called up a doctor from Sloan Kettering up here in New York City. And what a coincidence that doctor from Sloan Kettering actually ended up working at New York Presbyterian Columbia. And she told him the situation, and he was like, I think I know what he has. You know what? Send them to me. Send them to me. So I got transferred from Methodist Hospital in Brooklyn to New York Presbyterian Columbia, uptown in New York. And he took me in. They did the same routines they did in Brooklyn, but they did it differently. And then 2 days later is when I got to find out that I had leukemia. I had cancer in the blood.
Wow.
And ever since that day,
That's
Batman,
so
you have been beating leukemia's ass. So shout out to Pretty Lou, the fighter. Shout out to God, because God had so much here for you to do, man. It wasn't your time, man. Shout out to Pretty Lou.
But how did Shorty feel when you was like, these hickeys, now you know what these hickeys are, sis?
Oh,
like, did
man.
she buy you flowers? Apologize?
Well, now she's my wife, so She got to deal with it.
Yeah,
she got to deal with it for the rest of you know, of course she a pop.
Every time I would see you getting the re-up, every time when you would say it's the re-up, it's the re-up, I would always say a prayer and just be like, I know Pretty Lou got this. Like, you are definitely a fighter in the industry, but also just for your life. Like, that shit is inspiring.
What I want to share to everybody is I want to share a couple of things since there's, you know, since we got some a lot of people in here. It was a struggle. It was heartbreaking sometimes. You know, a lot of crying. A lot. You know, I went through a lot. But I also got to learn a lot about life in general. So I remember the moment that I found out that I had cancer, and it would never leave my mind. When they told me, I went into a room and I told the doctors and nurses to please just let me be alone in this room. I even told my mother, don't come in the room. I just want to be by myself. And at that moment, I released everything. I cried, I screamed, I yelled, I kicked. I said F you to, I think, almost every name that whatever popped into my brain. But when I did everything and I did my last crying, I cried so much that I think I couldn't even tear anymore. But once I knew that I did all that, I promised myself that will be the last time. And that from that time moving forward, I'm going to continue my life. I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing, and I'm not going to fold myself into a black hole. So throughout those 7 years, that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I had to take some time off those 6-7 months when I started first doing chemo, my first chemotherapy. And then I came back 6 months after that. I went back to work. And people will think that I was crazy because I don't know if, of course, you guys will probably know, and I'm saying it to everybody else, that I will go, I throughout the 7 years, I probably had maybe 10 chemotherapy sessions. And the last one I had is the one that almost killed me and put me in my coma. But people thought I was crazy because I would go to the hospital, get chemo, and the same day into the night, I'll be on the microphone rocking 2-3 parties.
Wow. That was your
and
real
people
chemo.
Be like, right after chemo. And people used to come up to me and be like, didn't you just get chemo today? I said, yeah. But I'm here. Let's rock out.
That's a fighter.
You know what I'm saying?
You inspired me, man.
And people couldn't believe it, but it was just my strength, my pride. You know what I'm saying? And I always kept telling myself, I ain't losing to this. You know what? If it's gonna take me out, it's gonna take me out doing what I love. And there was arguments. I had arguments with my wife. I had arguments with my own mother. People used to come up to me and be like, yo, Lou, chill out. Rest. You need to rest. You need to calm down. You need to get yourself back together. You need to heal. You need to fight. But you know what I used to tell these people? I used to tell them, if I don't do what I love, if I don't go and continue my life and stay stuck at home, waiting for a miracle, taking all these pills, crying every night, I won't be here. I said, you know what helped me? You know what kept me alive? Me continuing my life and me being in front of that microphone. Me going out there in front of thousands, hundreds, or whatever it is, and continuing my job, continuing shouting out birthdays, moving the crowd, people dancing, people having a great time. That's what kept me alive.
I love that, man.
That's, you know what I'm saying? I kept going. I never stopped. I never stopped. And that's one thing. That's one thing I want to tell people. I'm in this earth for a reason.
Amen.
In 2019, I fell into a coma, which I know everybody knows, because I heard, because I was in my coma, that the world would pause when they found out that I fell in a coma.
Mm-hmm. And we all prayed.
And I heard the whole world went on pause. And even after that, I healed up, I recovered, and then I came back. I fell in the coma June 18th of 2019. And I came back August 30th in front of 50,000 at the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
And tore that building down.
And
that's just to show people, and you know, and shout to my big brother Fat Joe, you know what I'm saying, who never left my side. When it comes, you know, one thing I want to do in front of everybody here, I want to big up that man. That man never left my side.
Amen.
He was there for me. He took care of my family when I couldn't. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Fat Joe. I don't know Fat Joe like that personally, but I just heard Sean say the same thing about him the other day. That Fat Joe was there for him when he was going through his situation, when he was locked up, and he was like, yo, Fat Joe is my man. Like, so I guess that's his character in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know, that's
even
right.
With the fire that just happened in the Bronx, Fat Joe and
24 hours raised $1 million.
Gunz, yeah, to help the families in need with everything that happened in the Bronx. So definitely want to give flowers to Fat Joe and also to Peter Gunz, anyone who's helping people in need, especially those that are suffering from that tragic fire in the Bronx.
Yeah, so big shout outs to him. Of course, I can't forget my other big brother DJ Enuff. You know what I'm saying? My whole heavy hitter family, but most of all, my family, my mother.
Are you the only heavy hitter that do you actually DJ?
I'm not. I'm an MC.
Are you the only heavy hitter that doesn't do that? Like, I feel like you're the only heavy hitter, because I feel like I heard that back in the day, it was a rule that to be a heavy hitter, you had to know how to, like, DJ with records.
Well, I'm not the only one. My brother L Boogs, he's a heavy hitter. He does the same thing.
Okay,
he's actually
because you're the pioneer.
But L Boogs DJ'd a little bit. Like,
a little bit.
I've been in clubs with L Boogs where he was, DJing a little bit. Him and Cat, I forgot who used to Rose. L Boogs. Cass One. Yeah, I didn't want to, mess up. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But, shout out to my family, my wife, my mother, my children, like, you know what I'm saying? And to my internal friend. And you know what? Most of all, shout out to everybody here and to my fan base. And because I think the prayers is what brought me back.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
The prayers is what brought me back to life. Because one thing my doctors did say to me, nobody really comes back from the coma that I was on.
Wow. I feel like it's
like so much.
Like when everyone's on Instagram and they're like, everybody tag Lady Luck or tag Babs, everybody tag Pretty Lou, I want to get his attention. And when everybody tags, it gets your attention. I feel like it's the same thing with prayer for God. The more people that pray for you, God like, wait, I gotta go fix. Okay, let me go hook that up right there because everybody tagging me.
Yeah,
so shout out to everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely real. I want to touch on this what you just said, Lou, about the prayers. I know that that's real. Shout out to my brother. He was in a car accident a few years ago. The doctors told my mother he wouldn't even make it through the night. He had a brain injury.
Wow.
And my mother went ham with the prayer. I don't even know. One day I'm in the hospital. It's this like prayer biker club. All these white guys come in there with these leather biker jackets and Bibles in their hand. And they just start praying over him. I'm like, where do you know? She said, I don't know them. I went to the store. I seen the guy out there. I said, can you come pray for my son?
Oh, God,
like, yo,
wow.
It is real. Like, and
the power of the prayer is so powerful. I didn't believe in the power of the prayer either. I'll keep it real. I wasn't really a religious guy. I was religious. I'm Catholic, but I was kind of religious because of my grandmother. You know, my grandmother will force us to go to church on Sundays when we were younger. But I wasn't really a religious guy. I'm not that like, but ever since coming back from the coma, and I started backtracking of all the posts people put up, all the prayers. Like, it was so bad that my phone, I had to get a new phone because my phone just, it died. Like, it completely, from all the texts and everything. I think the phone got so overwhelmed that it just blew up. And the amount of love the people will tell me, yo, we prayed for you, we prayed here. I still remember being on the train one time going to Sirius XM, like a year after, and this guy walks up to me out of left field. I prayed for you, and it worked. And I looked at him and I said, thank you. And I'm like, first of all, in my mind, I was like, who's this?
You never know, man.
But and that's all he said. He just came up to me and said, I prayed for you, and it worked.
I probably would have started crying.
No, believe me, I wanted to bawl too, but I'm in the train. But it's just, you know, the power of the prayer is just so powerful and all that. And like going back to what I was saying before, I'm here for a reason. And the reason is not for me to be back on the microphone, because I'm still doing that, or being on radio, or doing things like this, or being on TV, or whatever I'm doing. I think my reason for still being in this earth is having a conversation like this to tell other people, don't give up.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, when watching your timeline sometimes, because I've had some dark hours in my life, you know, and I would be really upset and distraught, and, you know, certain things, you know, depression is real. I'm very, you know, transparent about it on this show, but there'd be times where I would go on my timeline and see what you going through, and I'd be like, yo, Chanel, you better shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? And watching your strength, and I know it inspired me, like, yo, you gotta get going. You know, and I've seen the pictures where my bro, you know, he's in the hospital, he's fighting, and then he's doing these arenas, and then he's doing this, and he has his DJ show on Instagram, and there's so much that you're doing and you're moving. And you know, I'm just inspired by you.
You know what it is that most of the time how people fail in life, it could come from anything, depression, trying to get a job, common things, even death, is that people fall into a black hole and they don't know how to come out of it.
Yeah.
And people, it's like, for example, you know, let's talk about my wife, right? My wife, I love her. And there's reasons why we are together and everything. But sometimes I need to be her backbone too, because sometimes she has a lack of giving up quickly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I have to tell her what's going on. Oh, but you know, she gets so overwhelmed. But sometimes I gotta pause her a little bit and be like, listen, take a breather and look at all the positive stuff that you still have in front of you.
Amen.
I always say, if you don't have positive stuff in front of you, that's when you worry.
Right.
Look for your positive stuff that's in front of you. My wife has she has a sweet business, a catering thing that she does. She bakes cakes, you know, and all that. And I help her promote it and everything. And her business is now booming. She's getting a lot of business, but she gets overwhelmed from it. And it's just so much for her. And sometimes she'll be like, I can't do it no more. This is my last year. I'm going to quit.
What's her sign?
Cancer.
Is she yeah, she's a Cancer.
The cancers, yo.
So I have to stop her sometimes and be like, hold up. You should be happy about your overwhelm. You should not be happy if you didn't. If you wasn't overwhelmed. take a breather, relax, and figure it out. And that's how you gotta do just in general in life. You know what I'm saying? In anything, depression, you going through cancer, any type of illness. You know what I'm saying? I try to tell people it's not your death penalty. Just because a doctor once told you this and that, you shouldn't live like if it's your death penalty. Continue moving forward.
You know, Luke,
continue driving.
I have a friend in London. They found a tumor on one of her kidneys, so they had to remove her kidney. Then they found a small one on her remaining kidney. And you know how heavy I am, Lou, with prayer and things of that nature. But my friend, at one point in time, she didn't want to pray. And I understood, because how could I? You know what I'm saying? You taking all these pills, you doing all this, you doing all that. And then recently, and she sings and she writes. So not only dealing with that, you know, the discouragement of that, but also her music not popping the way she wants it to. And her cousins is writing for Beyonce. And she's like, so of course I understand 2 ways why you don't want to pray. But I will always tell her, like, your purpose is way bigger than what you think it is. And, you know, God wouldn't give you more than you could bear. And, you know, just this year, me and her going back and forth, and I go through the tears with her, the depression. But now she just got a big podcast with Spotify, and it's based off of her story. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And not only that, but she can incorporate her music into it. And then on top of that, I said, I know that you have this, but now you're not the victim anymore. You're victorious, because I've lost a lot of people since you've gotten diagnosed. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't have what you've had. You know, there's been people who've had surprises, people, you know, different things of that nature. So, you know, I appreciate when anybody shares their story, but I know that the downside of it too, when you get discouraged, you know, you
get discouraged. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I don't.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I'm always happy, jolly, with a smile and all that. No, I go through a lot of walls. I hit a lot of walls sometimes. When it comes to my career, when it comes to my health, when it comes to anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm perfect, but what I can do is tell you I'm not the type of person that I'm going to look at the wall and walk away.
You fight.
Nah, I'm going to find a way how I'm going to make a rope. I'm going to find a way how I'm going to knock this wall down. I'm going to find a way how to go around it. There's a way, there's a will. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, if there's a will, there's a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you know, I see life so different ever since the 7 years that I've been fighting. I see life so different. You know what I'm saying? I see life as there is no way for me to be angry at people no more. You know what I'm saying? When you see somebody hating on you or somebody try to put bad on you, who cares? I don't care about that anymore. It doesn't faze me. I tell my friends all the time, the guy could be across the street yelling and screaming, telling me I'm this, I'm that, all the baddest names ever. I don't care. God bless him.
Right.
I still move forward. If anything, he could be yelling all that. I'll just wave at him and tell him, all right, my brother, God bless. You know what I'm saying? I see life totally different. I never talk bad on anybody anymore. You know what I'm saying? Even if that's the worst person in your life,